Hi guys, my name is Easton Schofield, and today I wanted to give my little 3-minute video about the many faces of diversity paper that we wrote for class. The topic that I chose was Japanese Americans, and I chose this for a couple reasons, but number one, because when I was in high school, I had a really good friend who was a Japanese American. His father was a second generation American, so his dad actually was the one that came over to America from Japan, and my friend's mom was white, so he was able to experience a lot of the American culture through his mom's side of the family, but then a lot of the Japanese culture through the dad's side of the family. I myself have also been very interested in Japan and their culture that they have there. I think it's very fascinating, the things that they prioritize and the other things that they do. My wife and I actually have been trying to plan a trip back there to try and see the sites over there. But talking about Japanese Americans, one of the first things that we need to know is a little bit about their immigration history. In the mid-1800s, the Japanese people began to immigrate to Hawaii for a number of reasons. There were many push and pull factors that led to this. Many of the push factors being that Japan's economy at the time was pretty horrific. They had super high taxes and the unemployment rate was through the roof. It was very difficult to find a job, and even if you had a job, you had to pay an arm and a leg to be able to keep that job. Another thing is that there was rapid industrialization in the country, and that because of that, these big companies were buying up land in order to build factories and other manufacturing plants, which would force people from their homes because their land was bought right out from underneath their feet. So these Japanese people were looking for something to do, somewhere to go, and they heard of America and of Hawaii, and especially in Hawaii because it was kind of halfway between America and Japan, they were able to go there a little more easily. And there they were able to work in the sugarcane factories and other places and textiles and stuff that they were able to make decent wages and send money back to Japan in order to get the rest of their families over to America. Another big part of Japanese American history that we need to be aware of is during World War II and the Japanese internment camps. We all know why these went into effect, but the fact of the matter is, as these Japanese people were there, these camps were in pretty poor conditions, and there's many communicable diseases that were spread and things that were spread through the camps, and even generational diseases that could affect your future children and their children. So as healthcare workers, a couple of the things that we need to be aware of is, one, to ask about family history. But as we do so, we should be very kind and considerate, knowing that the internment was something that was pretty horrific and that we should be very empathetic, but ask also if one of their ancestors was interned, because this would in turn help us know as health professionals if they have certain risk factors for certain diseases. We also should be aware of the language barrier, especially with recent immigrants, that the Japanese language is pretty strict and that we should ask if they need an interpreter so that we can get the diagnosis and understand their symptoms to the best of our ability and be able to give them their treatment and diagnosis to the best of their understanding as well. We should be direct also with these treatments and diagnoses, because the Japanese culture is one that is very direct, and if we are not direct, they will oftentimes think it's not that big of a deal. So as we are more direct with how serious these things can be, that they will take it more seriously and do those things in order to help themselves. Another thing we should be aware of is that the Japanese people are very family oriented. So as health professionals, it would be very common for us to go to a room of a Japanese patient and see many of his or her family members there present, trying to console and treat this person as well. So these are a couple things we can be aware of, and more information about Japanese Americans. Thank you.